Okay, and that's right. You said it's on the city list now. So,
Yeah.
and just for clarification's sake for the general audience that's watching, there's a charge that's attached to that. We have an hourly rate,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
It's still $100 per hour?
Yes. Sure is.
And that's
And-
that.
In fact, that's such a good ordinance that we have that last year when Jamie first come in, we started out with 35 properties at the beginning of the summer. By the end of summer, because we were actually sending them bills, we was down to 10.
I think
This is
right
gonna help,
now,
I think, too.
I think right now we might have 13, but we just started the mow season, so that will start to dwindle again once people get them bills in the mail. And then also, it saves the violation, and this is what our notices look like now. And it will have the homeowner's name and address. This APN number is actually the GIS number that would look up on GIS. This is the date, of course, that the violation was noticed, and then down here, as you can see, it shows the municipal code, and then also it's the ordinance code as well. So then that way they're not only just getting something on their door saying, hey, your grass is tall, get it mowed. It's actually a copy of our ordinance that we have on AM Legal as well. And then it tells you what the resolution would be, and then it has a comply by date. And then down at the bottom it will tell you.
This is what he's showing you now is actually what we get if he made contact with, let's say it was Bob, this is what he would hand him. If no contact was able to be made at the time, this would what be taped on the door or put up on the door for notification. And with other violations, he may send out via mail, certified mail, and these are the types of things that go with them. So also in this system, he's able to print citations for our city court. So everything's done directly from this. And he can print that off in his truck. We've got him a printer that hooks up to his computer, and he simply just goes in there and hits print. All this stuff happens right there on the spot. He doesn't have to come back to the PD and do paperwork, unless it's really hot and he just wants to get some air.
Like the next couple of days. Then also it does have the attachments again. Them are the photos that I had just showed you. Then I can also, before I used Spillman, what the police and fire used to put in their reports for accidents or any calls that they get generated. Now I can just go into case notes, and that's where I put my report at. So like this one has 2 of them on it that has pretty much stating, while I was on patrol as ordinance officer, I observed said address in violation of whatever ordinance code that they are in violation of. And then I go through and say, I try to make contact with the owner. If no owner comes to the door, I didn't make contact with anyone that I did leave notice on the door. I'll go follow up in 7 days or whatever the follow-up lead time is. After the 7 days, I did go back in and said that the yard had not been mowed, it has not complied, and that's how I had the case. It's not working.
Anyways, it's a really good workflow program.
Still working out.
And we get to involve you guys. Like I said, if you have constituents which have complaints about ordinances and stuff like that, this is a spot that you can go to and see exactly everything Jamie's doing. And he's on this daily. Can you find the maps?
Now, is this like reportable out to like a spreadsheet where you can capture like condemnations, like a list that could be looked at easily?
There are some reports, and she's working on that for us. In a spreadsheet type, I don't believe that she's gotten to that point yet. We're still
Okay,
working
but
on
it's got the
some
capability of it, it sounds like.
good cases.
Because I think it's something that we've kind of struggled with in the past is just, okay, what's on the condemnation list? What is it current, what's the current status of it? And somebody knows, but not everybody, you know, has the.
So when you guys log in and you go to cases up here, you'll come down, you'll see all this stuff, and you can click on this and you'll see the case. One of the really neat features of this is when he clicked on the map, he already went there, but
Yeah, I'll go back real quick.
okay.
So
Cases.
Cases.
If you click on this button right here, this is actual GIS information. And you'll see that number 14 right there. As you start to zoom in, that'll start spreading out to the various points and locations of each one of those. So once you click on one of the flags that drops there, you look over here and it tells you what that violation was at that address or at that spot. So it gives you kind of a general idea. And really, as far as you guys are concerned, without going too in depth and everything, that's what you're going to see. You can click on anything you want up there. You're not going to change anything. You have read-only rights. So you can go home and play with it all you want. And if there's stuff that you want to, there's the little flag. So if you was to click on that, it would show this stuff over here. But like I said,
it'll highlight the box too as well. To let you know that you can also click on
it has the report number up there. So you
The
can go
case.
see the report, the whole case.
and then you can view it through as well.
So any questions or concerns you guys might have for this, or?
This should help tremendously.
I think so.
It looks like a really good tool for you guys, I mean, it does.
Yeah, it's a really good tool for us, and in the past, I kind of wanted to bridge a gap between council, Board of Works, and what we do at the police department without, 500 text, emails, hey, what'd you do here? Well, now you get a chance to log in and see it, and then if there's something that you have a question about, you can absolutely send that email or text or something.
Very nice. Thank you, guys.
Yep.
Great job. Well, Ken, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you now. So if you want to go ahead and address.
Okay. Talk to him just a second.
Okay. Well, for everybody in the audience, this is Ken Anderson. Go ahead.
They all
This is
should
Ken
know me
Anderson with
by
Ken
now.
Consulting,
Yeah,
firm that's handled our blight grant.
yeah. Tonight, we can tentatively award it. But then I'd like for the council to give Chad the authority to award it, sign the contract when I get release of funds from Oker.
Okay.
Okay, that way we don't, it doesn't have to come through another meeting. It's pretty typical of what we do now.
All right.
Okay. I thought Monty was gonna be here tonight, so I only have one copy of this. This is the bid recommendation letter for the blight clearance project that we've now bid out 3 times. So, Bruce Carter and Associates is recommending Door and Associates out of Bay City, Michigan to do the project. We opened bids back, a week ago?
Mm-hmm.
For the third time, yes.
Yeah, for the 3rd time. Doors bid was $350,700. Advanced Demolition Services was $461,482. Third one, I don't even know why they even bid it, because they didn't have enough information in their bid to even consider it. So it was considered non-responsive. Their bid was $1,381,766. So, okay.
Yeah.
But like I said,
Let's just slap a figure down and see what they say.
in fact, they'd never bid on a project before because 496 was not even in there. I mean, that's the mother of all farms. So like I say, Bruce Carter and Associates is recommending Dore and Associates to do the project.
Can you spell that?
Dore. I'll leave this letter here, and if any of you want copies, somebody
I can get copies and have
make
them.
a
pass them
copy. Before we totally award it to them and sign a contract, we are gonna sit down and have a meeting with them to be sure that they understand what we want. They were really low on the new construction part of it. We have to build a retaining wall and the exterior wall, rebuild it over here. And their bid was extremely low on the new construction work. So I think we need to sit down with them and have a clear understanding of what we expect to be done. And if we're satisfied, then we can go with them. But the way, I don't know if you heard me talking to Steve or not, but the way we've been doing these is Okra won't let us award a project until I have release of funds. And I'm guessing we'll probably have release of funds in the next day or two. Because we went that route before. And the successful contractor said, whoops, wait, I made a mistake. Pull my bid. So, bid the third time. But what I would like for you to do tonight is tentatively award this to Dover and Associates. And then give Chad the authority to award it and sign a contract once I get release of funds. That way we don't have to wait for another council meeting or have a special meeting. It seems to have worked out really well. We've probably been doing that about a year, so that's what I think we need to do here, because we want to get this going here. You know, we've spent 3 bids here, time for 3 bids, and we gotta get going.
It should have been done already, actually.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Question.
Yeah.
Is Door the one, the bidder that has like gone low and may, in your judgment, may not understand fully what? No, they're not the one. Okay.
I don't think. There's always a question with Door, but right now we really don't have a lot of choice. I mean, Advanced, the second low bidder, had left some things out of their bid too. All of them did basically, but some of them are informalities that in the bid advertisement could be waived. He didn't check that he had the last addendum that went out. But back on another piece of paper, he had received addendum, whatever number, on this date. So it was in there, but not in the right place. So those are informalities that we're allowed to waive. He didn't check 2 or 3 boxes on whether he was gonna crush the brick or what he's gonna do with the floor tile. So that's why we're gonna sit down and have a meeting to gather that information and be sure he knows what we want.
Do you think you'll raise the price at all?
That's left up to all of us by change order, so. No, I asked Joel Markland at BCA about that, back to the last project they had with them, and they didn't have any big outstanding change orders. With that said, probably not the best contractor I could have picked, but that's why, another reason why we want to sit down with them. And it was also suggested, BCA is going to do part-time inspection on this project. And with Door, I had talked to Monty about it, and I think we need to bump that up to full-time inspection. So they're here every day that Door is here. So,
How much increased cost does that add to our?
not a lot, I don't think, because I think they had quite a bit to start with, but that'd be a question for them. I can find out and let you know.
Well, I just say, well, no, we're,
I don't
500,000 is what our grant is for,
Yeah.
correct? So, I mean, that's obviously our magic marker that we wanna stay within, so.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be a whole lot, from what I've talked with them. Jacob, the engineer, he's on summer 2-week camp with the military, so John Kilmer has been handling this, and we just feel like that's probably our best option, is to bump that up to full-time.
Okay.
That way there is no question, they'll be here all the time.
Eyes on sight.
Yeah.
If you find that they haven't adequately assessed the retaining wall, the new construction, or the rebuild of the wall, I mean, are you thinking in the tens of thousands of dollars, you know, because they're $111,000 under the next bidder at this point, so really there's a pretty significant
I'm
difference
thinking they
before
were
you
at
reach the second bidder.
250,000, don't hold me to this, cause I'm just trying to go from memory.
So,
I think they were at 150 or 250 on new construction,
okay,
and the other contractor was at, it was over 300,000 on new construction. But that's another reason why we wanna sit down with them, because I think we may have some extra money here. We may wanna look at that, new construction and maybe make some changes to it to make it look a lot nicer. Like the retaining wall, I'd use some nice block or something, or, just things like that.
Yeah, as long as we have visibility to what's being suggested in terms of suggested changes.
Yeah,
So
most of it's gonna be exposed, so
yeah.
I want it to look nice.
Yes, yeah, and so do we.
I know.
Not only look nice, but the
That's my
maintenance.
priority with the new construction, is making it look nice, and
Right.
that's why I wanna know, they're not gonna come in and just pour a concrete retaining wall and that's it, so.
Right. Well, the
We probably
endurance
wanna-
of it's critical too, because we've been through this as a community, unfortunately, on the corner up across the street from where one of the demos is gonna be taking place, where it was not backfilled adequately, and we dealt with sinking for years.
Oh, yeah, you will,
So,
that's be compacted and.
yeah.
The good thing is, I don't think they found a lot up at the gas station site, so I don't think we're gonna do anything with that.
Okay.
So, we're gonna have some money left over here.
Good.
So, I think we'll have enough to do the nice looking wall,
Excellent.
exposed wall and the retaining wall, and then to bump up their inspection.
Cool. Wonderful.
Because we have 500,000, and us and them, I can't remember if they're out of local or grant. I think they might be out of grant. I'll have to look. I think we procured them here. I'm just thinking to myself, so.
And we've dealt with BCA, Tim, haven't we, for,
Yeah.
it seems like forever,
Yeah.
When
so.
we did the old plant down here,
The body company plant, or the,
well, it's been
On Pearl Street, or where do you reference?
Pearl, I think, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And it had construction on it too, because there was a business in one side of it.
Yeah, that's the old
Yeah.
body company plant,
yeah,
yeah.
the
Yeah.
body company, yeah.
And we had to build a
Yeah.
wall
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
separate
And that
that.
turned out all right.
And it's fine. Just working with that here just this week, or last week a little bit, so it's,
Yeah, yeah.
with what's going on there, so.
So that's where we stand.
Okay. So any questions?
So we basically need to give a motion to give you signing authority.
Well, that choose the low bidder based on the
Yeah.
recommendation from BCA, which is our third party.
Tentatively
Okay, we
award
need
it
to-
to
yeah.
Door.
Okay.
If you want to go ahead and do that.
Okay, I'll make the motion, we tentatively award award the bid to Door and Associates at $350,700,
Pending
pending,
pre-construction meeting.
pending pre-construction meeting
And release of funds.
and release of funds, yeah.
Do we have a first, do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. Cindy, if you would, roll call vote.
Who was the second? I'm sorry.
Yeah, Tito.
Tito,
Brandon Elmore,
Yes.
Bob Leahy,
yes.
Jason Brewer,
Yes.
Tim Heiss,
Yes.
Tito Ferreras.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Now then, I would like for you to vote to give the mayor the authority to award the project and sign the contract, the construction contract to Door once we get release of funds.
Once again,
I'll
pending,
make that, I'll make that motion.
pending the
Yeah.
pre-construction meeting and the.
Yes.
What is you? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Showing my ignorance here. What is release of funds?
We have to go through a process with the funding agency
Which is
to
Oak
get the
Grove,
funds
Okay.
released to where we can start drawing
Oh, I
it
see.
down.
Okay.
which is the 500,000, that they release that in full when they
No.
release it?
No,
Or just,
no, it stays there,
partial?
we draw it monthly
draw.
from pay
Okay.
requests and,
okay,
yeah,
so it's a draw as needed then?
yeah.
Okay, I'll move we, let's see. Give the mayor, authority to,
Award the contract.
award a contract to Door and Association,
Sign it.
Associates, pending the,
Pre-construction?
pre-construction approval and release of funds.
Do we have a first, do we have a second?
I'll second.
And sign the contract.
And sign, and, yeah, that goes
And
with
s-
signing authority, which is where I started in the first place.
Again, pending all that, that's already been.
Yes, that's, the signing comes last.
Cindy, if you would.
Brandon Elmore,
Yes.
Bob Leahy,
Yes.
Jason Brewer,
Yes.
Tim Heiss,
Yes.
Tito Ferreras.
Yes.
Now, I will say one other thing. When you applied for this grant, you put up so much local match, and we get 500,000 in grant. Those are figured from Okra on percentages, be it 90-10, 80-20, 85-15, whatever it is. When we start, that's from the grant application. That has to hold true throughout the whole project. When we come down to the end of the project, if it's not 90-10, 80-20, whatever, we will have to pay money back to Okra. And it's not like it wasn't spent on the project, but sometimes it's really hard to keep those percentages exact. Because a lot of times at the end of a project, they'll do a final quantities of everything that was spent on the project. And it could be a negative deduct, which would just kill us. So I need to keep close track of that throughout this, because when bids come in under is when that comes into effect. If it come in over, very seldom do the percentages change. So it will be based off of what they bid here. So we know right off the bat we can't spend $500,000. So I did want to throw that out, because sometimes it does happen and you do have to write a check back to Okra, and some cities and towns get upset, but it's just one of those things that it's hard to keep it at that. So, but I did want to throw that out there, but I'll keep a close eye on it.
But by that, if it's, but we hold that percentage, so if let's say the final tally is $450,000, we'll still be paying that percentage of the
I don't know, I'd have to
450,000.
have my secretary figure it and see what,
Not sure how that.
but
Well, we should
basically-
never pay more than what the percentage matches.
right, we
Right.
try not to, but sometimes it gets through. I mean, so, but we'll keep a close eye on it.
But can we just?
I don't like to come in and say, write this check to Okra.
So when it's time for payment, instead of asking for the, 100% of whatever cost from a released fund, why don't we just do that percentage? Is it, what is it, 25?
As we
If it was
go.
90-10, yeah,
Because it was a 90-10, wasn't it?
I don't
I think
remember.
it was it.
For some reason, I thought it was a 90-10 match,
I
or maybe
think
it
it
was.
is. I think because I thought it was what,
I thought it was
had
pretty generous.
1,000 in the match on that.
So that 90-10 would apply to that 350,000,
Right,
not the 500.
right, yeah.
Uh,
Oh yeah, yeah. We're gonna have.
But we are allowed
But we should
up
pay
to-
no more than the 50,000 that we would be
Right.
expecting, the 10% of the 500,000, right?
But we are allowed up to 20% in change orders, so, but my secretary at the office, she keeps pretty close tabs on the percentages. So,
I mean, I wouldn't want us to be like having to come up with expenses to spend
Right.
our percentage. Let's just spend, draw down whatever we have to for the,
Right.
keep the exact percentages on every
and
expenditure.
we will have a
Is that
change
possible?
order too, it's just common. I mean, it's hard to catch everything.
Yeah, we're familiar with change orders from the wastewater treatment.
Oh,
plant.
God, I'm sure you are.
We're back, that's part of today's agenda, so.
But that situation's a little different too, in the
Right.
fact that with our grant with that, the our contribution amount is fixed.
Yeah, correct. So
And-
we were actually trying to
So-
utilize everything
So
left.
when we came in low,
Yep,
that gave us room for change orders up, and so that because anything that we don't spend, we give back to
And that was
USDA.
USDA and they don't have this
Right,
percentage thing.
yeah, so that's the,
Yeah,
like say with that,
yeah.
our amount's fixed no matter what, so the most we get out of, the better, the more we can get out of it, the better, because that's just
Right.
that less money we have to take out of rate.
I just try to get everything out there that, that I've run into and, I had the city of Sullivan, they had to write a check one time for $30,000 back to Okra. But the engineer did a high dollar deduct change order at the very end and.
But at the same time, you wrote a check, but it really wasn't like you were
No, it
paying.
was still spent on the project.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's-
you're not
it's-
paying
It just puts you back to
to
what the percentage was. in the
the
first place.
reimbursing.
Yeah.
But,
all right, anything else?
nope, that's all I
All
got.
right, thank you very much. I know you're gonna get to Dunkirk.
Yep, I do. Anybody have any questions for the, okay.
All right. Thank you.
I guess I'll get with you on this meeting with Dor. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Thank you very much, Ken. You have a good one.
Safe travels.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Now we will actually get back to the agenda. In terms of updates, department reports. Got a few kudos to extend. The horse show that was in the park Memorial Day weekend was outstanding at 172 entries. And in fact, there are more shows on the docket now, are there not?
Yes, there's this young lady come up and talk to us. They do a Blazing Barrels, is what she calls it, and it's a kid-friendly show. It's not really Ibra, but she has 3 or 4 shows that she wants to put on there, with addition to 2 Ibra shows. So a possibility of 6 shows before the end of this year, before winter hits,
Yeah, I think that's
including
one.
the radio or rodeo.
Yeah, in fact, the head of this previous show that occurred Memorial Day weekend, she did a post to all the racers or entries and so forth, and all the other people that follow, and it was glowing about the park and coming into the community, and just it was really nice. So, great job there. Also, kudos to Steve and Kobe and Tito, both our chiefs, and Tito, our councilman, for the resource event that occurred on Saturday afternoon from 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock. Tremendous, what I thought from my perspective was a tremendous involvement from folks, and just it was time well spent, I felt. Grand opening of the Family Dollar Tree, that is coming up. It's obviously already open, but they're going to actually celebrate with a grand opening event down here on the corner. And if you've not had an opportunity to go in there yet, it's worth a visit. It's unique. It's cool. Both stores are represented down the middle of the store. One side's Representative Dollar Tree, the other side's Family Dollar. So it's really cool. So we're very thankful to have them into the community. I want to welcome, obviously Family Dollar's been here, but Dollar Tree's new to us. We've received official approval from Indiana Economic Development Corporation for Vision Corner, and the $400,000 of the Regions Ready allocation is now officially obligated to Vision Corner. So that's all official. So that's a huge win. Received a very nice email last week, and so that's a big plus. We're the very first project of the 142 submitted that was funded, and that's not saying anywhere near that the 142 are getting funded. There's just a handful that get funded, and we were the first of a handful among 8 counties, if you will. So, and lastly, the flag raising, our first official flag raising for the Union City flag, as you see here. That's going up July 1st at 5:30 is the ceremony, and at 5:43 is what I've slated for the official flag raising. That's 5, 4, 3, 2 to 1. It's meant to be a countdown. So 5:43, we will hoist the flag for the first time ever in Union City. It will be attended by both mayors, myself and Mayor Pooter, and we will have industry heads and schools represented, and both sides of the line for emergency services. So special day, everybody is welcome. That's 5:30 at Broadway. And a lot of people probably don't know we have a Broadway in Union City, but Broadway is actually what people would know as the former Union Bank or Union Trust Bank parking lot. So the parking lot across from State Farm, that's Broadway actually. So that's where we will have the ceremony. We will have Pearl Street in that section blocked off, and it will be just a 25-minute ceremony. I have no idea what mood Mother Nature will be in that evening, so it's no one around here. It's either going to be 105 or 65, so just be ready. But we will look forward to that.
You said 2 times. Is it at 5 or is it
5:30? Sorry,
at 5:30.
5:30.
And
the flag raising is at 5:43.
Got it.
So the ceremony starts at 5:30. Flag raising at 5:43. It's just a 25-minute ceremony, so we'll be done for everybody to be able to go grab a bite to eat. So that's July 1st, obviously a special weekend. Chief, I imagine you don't have anything else you want to cover, do you, in terms of department report?
I don't.
Alrighty. Cindy, you don't have anything you need to go over with us, do you?
No.
Alrighty. Council members, Tito, let's start with you.
Yes, I just had one question and possibly a follow-up. I see that we spent over $200,000 on the Isaac Gray development on North Plum Street last month. I went out there yesterday and saw what looks like manholes for sewage and water. Could we have a description of an update of what's actually been done so far?
The mainline waste and stormwaters system has been put in. It's been installed. We're starting on the laterals into the cul-de-sacs and the side streets. The expenditure that is in the packet today for $201,000 and some change is primarily paying for all the parts and pieces that are located on the job site. That's basically to allow the contractor breathing room with his finances so he can start paying for all the equipment, all the pipe, all the manholes, all the framework, all the catch basins. So that's specifically what that's paying for. That was recommended to us by the engineering firm that managed the bid process, said that it was usual and customary for us to do a pay claim to allow the contractor to pay for the parts that were on the job site.
Good question.
So that's a 200 that we're gonna approve.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay, very good. Also, I don't know, just looking around out there, it seems like several parts of the area are like low-lying that could be susceptible to flooding, and I did see a lot of water, like a water out there. Of course, it's been raining, but still. Are we doing? Is there something we have to do to reduce the potential for flooding in the new?
It's all been addressed. There's a dry detention pond that's dug. They've already, in the low-lying areas while they're working, they've already released water to that dry detention pond once. Once everything is completed, obviously the storm sewer will manage a large percentage of that, but any large amount of rain will be stored in the dry detention pond and then released to the big ditch that would be on the north side of that development and lead directly to the creek.
Okay. Thanks very much. That's all I have.
No, good question. Tim?
I don't have anything.
Jason?
The only thing I have regarding the backstay lofts, there on the southeast corner, there's some graffiti on that wall.
Yes.
I don't know if that could be addressed and cleaned off.
Well, that's gonna be part of discussion, that can be part of the discussion we have on down here in new business. So that's a great question, because actually that's something I've noticed a number of times too. Anything else?
Nope. Thank you.
And welcome aboard. I know the first meeting was a little unorthodox, being because it wasn't here. So,
Thank you.
so welcome again.
Thanks.
Bob?
I just had a question about spraying the weeds at the park.
Yes.
Is that on the agenda for the near future, hopefully?
I know it's already been started because I've
Well,
seen around the trees were all
what-
sprayed. So was there an
What
area
weeds are you
specifically?
referring
Just
to?
the grass.
Oh, like a lawn treatment.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Because we do have a spray.
I will confirm that, Bob. I know that before Dennis left, that was a topic of conversation. I believe that it's done, but I will have to confirm. So,
Yeah, so
uh,
like
we-
getting rid of
we
the
do-
buckhorn and
yeah,
other
we
things.
do. We do spray for broadleaf, and I believe it's finished, but I'll confirm that and I'll let you know.
I'd like to know what we spray, like what we spray on. Because like
Oh,
I run out there and I want to know if I'm going to be contaminated or anything.
Well, I will find that out because I can't even answer that question. I'm sure it comes from Moats Farm Service, but I'm not even sure what we spray. I'll have to find out.
Anything else, Bob?
That's it.
All right.
Thank you.
Brandon?
I had a couple of concerned citizens talk to me about the gas company and the work that they're doing around town. Actually, there was a clarification it needed to be made too with one of the individuals because they assumed it was the city doing the work.
Ah.
And I said, no, it's not the city, it's actually the gas company. But basically holes in the yard not being addressed, not covered, in between work times that that they were coming back for the day, from previous days or what have you. One actually has been addressed and it's been covered since, but one individual on Pearl Street, her property has not been remedied, and I've actually called a couple times myself, and nobody's been out. So I'm not sure if there's something we can do from the city to
You called the gas company?
Yes.
Who'd you speak with?
I don't know the name of the individual.
If you can funnel all that stuff through me, we have direct contact with their on-site foremans. Ohio Valley Gas is doing some of the work. Greater Heights Corporation is doing some of the work. And we are unbelievably frustrated with this process as well, but unfortunately, it's what we're going to deal with for the next year and a half, because it's going to take that much more time till they're done.
Yeah. Yeah,
So-
I've got a picture that this one individual sent me. I mean, somebody could fall in it. I mean, kind of thing. And, turn an ankle or
Well,
a
just
small
just
child
get
could
me
fall
that
in.
address, and I'll have a face-to-face conversation with their site foremans tomorrow.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Awesome.
And on a lighter note, the swim team season is in full swing. We were actually supposed to have a home meet this evening, but the weather didn't cooperate. We were going to have over, I think, 100 swimmers in town, a team from Fort Recovery and a team from Winchester, but we weren't able to have that again because of the weather. But again, just on a lighter note, that's what's kind of going on in town. So
Cool.
That's awesome.
Peter
I
Gibson.
did have one more point.
Yeah.
I'd forgotten. I'm sorry. So before the pool opened, I don't know if it's still happening, but I noticed a couple times that there were families, small groups of kids playing in the creek there, Little Mississinawa River there, and I'm wondering, is it safe have we had, can we get access to like some kind of evaluation of the water? Is it contaminated, etc.?
It has a liner in the bottom of it. It has a clean bill of health from my.
Are you talking about the creek or the pool?
The creek.
Creek.
The creek.
But I wouldn't play in it just because it's literally dirty river water. So, but it does have a clean bill of health from IDEM, and it does have a liner in the bottom that has not been disturbed. That's why it's so problematic to dredge the middle and do maintenance work in it, because it does have a liner in it. It's basically a barrier between the soil and the water. So I would encourage people not to play in it, but it's just river water, so it's as safe as that is.
And it's subject to possible contamination from farm fields and other runoff. It's not really the original hazard's probably not really a problem, but the other runoff could be an issue. Plus, one thing that I was there at the bridge at one point for a little bit, and there was a group of children and a woman looked like a grandmother with children, some small children, and that water's pretty deep in a couple of spots there, and it's a bit hazardous, not just for contamination, but just for depth, because that one area is still water and it's pretty deep.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. We don't have any signage out there as far as I know.
There is signage that says
not fishing.
Not fishing.
Yeah.
But it also, I think.
But we don't have anything regarding playing, do we?
Well, I mean,
I
don't care to put signs up there. That's fine, but I don't know that you're going to stop curious kids from playing in a creek. I mean, it's what I did when I was a kid. It's just what they do.
Not fishing.
Because I was looking online at a report from Environmental Protection Agency in Indiana on that, and I don't remember which one it was, but it looked like every river and creek has either E. coli from runoff from confined animal feeding operations, or PCBs, right? Plastics from industrial. So I mean, I kind of wish we could know what is it, if there's an issue, and just maybe if necessary warn people about it. Just
well, I mean,
just for safety.
You want to do research to see if there's. I mean, because again, we're kind of at the mercy of what everybody else in the state of Indiana is. By what you just described, I mean, there's creeks and rivers throughout the entire state. So,
and then furthermore, I mean we can post signs in the park because that's a public space, but it's not going to prevent them from playing in the creek on the west side of Frank Miller Road or at 28. It's all the same bridge, or 3 miles out into Jackson Township. It's not really manageable start to finish. So putting signs that are cautionary in nature, I think that's probably appropriate, because there's no lifeguard, there's nobody paying attention. But I don't know how we manage
Maybe a
that.
message on the back of the water bill too, possibly, just
That'd be good.
something like that.
we can do that. Just a reminder. All right. Anything else? All right. No business, but new business. We have, speaking of which, wastewater project claim number 26 and claim number 27. And you should have those in your packet. And I don't know if board works, anybody, or Steve, if anybody wants to speak to anything.
This is basically change order number 10. 3 of the pieces of equipment have arrived, and the remainder of the product from change order 10 is not. So this is just a partial claim to pay for the 3 pieces of equipment, or 3 items that have arrived on change order 10.
Any questions or comments? If not, I would entertain a motion for approval of the first two claim change orders.
So 26 is this 4-pager, right? 26, that's this 26.
It should be for a push camera, a laboratory VIS spectrometer. Is the 3 pieces of equipment that we have received. I'm not looking at it specifically, so if you give me a minute, I'll see if I can locate it. And again, we're currently using all the equipment, so.
Yeah, so if you look,
we
like the
basically-
contractor's page, your
Yeah.
claim order is in your top right hand. And so it's all the pages, it's the 2 pages following it, or actually 4, like Tito said, 4 pages following it, and then claim order number 27 is the next one for the 3610.
And again, just none of this is coming out of our checkbook, it's coming out of the contingency funds.
Right. Further questions or comments, or once you've had a chance to review, then I will entertain a motion.
On what contingency funds is that?
The wastewater treatment facility. The change order 10 was already approved. All we're doing is literally writing the checks for 3 pieces of equipment that was part of change order 10.
So it's approved already, right?
Technically, it's approved already. Jan just wanted to make sure you guys were aware that these 3 claims were part of change order 10. We're paying them ahead of the biggest portion of change order 10 simply because we're already using the equipment.
If there's no other questions, I'll move we accept project, or wastewater project claim number 26 and 27.
We have a first, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Cindy, if you would, roll call vote.
Brandon Elmore,
Yes.
Bob Leahy.
Yes.
Jason Brewer,
Yes.
Tim Heiss,
Yes.
Peter Pereira.
Yes.
Now for the second one, which is change order number 1 and change order number 2. You should have those in front of you, and again, they're labeled in the top right-hand corners.
Okie dokie. This is a little confusing. So in the bid, or in the I guess it'd be the bid, Miller Pipeline came in, I guess the right way to say this would be under budget for the work they did on Division 2 on the sewer line rehabs. So change order 1 here is a decrease of the amount committed to Miller Pipeline of $156,702.15.
Hey.
So that is what change order 1 consists of.
Any questions? If not, I would entertain a motion for approval.
I'll move we approve change orders number 1 for Division 2 wastewater project.
We have a first. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Or first and second. Cindy, if you would, roll call vote.
Brandon Elmore,
Yes.
Bob Leahy,
Yes.
Jason Brewer,
Yes.
Tim Heiss.
Yes.
Tito Pereira.
Yes.
And I apologize, I guess the way Jane had this set up on the agenda was actually had them under the same box, but I guess for just clarity's sake, we would entertain a motion for change order number 2.
So change order 2 is for work that is being done out of Division 2 for that $156,702.15 that we just got back. We're spending $126,631.25. And Jan and Mark have included a list of what they're doing with this. Basically, it's more work improving our stormwater and sanitary sewer systems. So it's basically manhole work, things like that that's going to be keeping the stormwater out of our sanitary sewer. And again, we just put the 156,702. We're going to spend with change order 2 the 126,631.25 out of that, and so it's all contingency money. It's just actually spending down the money that's left over from the grant.
Any questions? You have work scope and pricing on that last page. If not, I would entertain a motion for change order number 2. In 2.
I'll move we accept wastewater project division 2 change order number 2 as presented.
We have first, or we have a second?
I'll second.
Jan, or Cindy, sorry. Would you please do roll call vote?
Who was the second?
Jason.
Sorry, I don't know your voice.
It's okay, I can't get your name right, so.
Brandon Elmore,
Yes.
Bob Leahy,
Yes.
Jason Brewer,
Yes.
Tim Heiss,
Yes.
Tito Freres.
Yes.
Okay, real quick, man.
Yes.
Mark Sullivan is going to be sending me, hopefully by the end of the week, an update of exactly what the balance is. A large portion of one of the last change orders, and I think it's probably change order 10, is not going to be done till mid to late fall because of supply chain issues. So this grant is going to hang out there and remain open for a longer period of time than we had expected. All of the accounting is up to date and everything is balanced, but we don't know exactly where we're at and how much money is left. But he's strongly encouraging us to spend that balance probably within the next 30 days. So he's going to be sending us the balance, and he's going to be scheduling time to meet with Rob. He would probably recommend, and he believes that Rob would want to keep doing infrastructure work, new manhole frames and castings and things like that, with the balance of the money. He believes it's going to be somewhere in the $30,000 to $40,000 range is what's actually left in the contingency money. But probably at the next meeting, you're going to be dealing with another change order to gobble that up and put that thing to bed, but it won't actually be closed off our books because we're going to have work being done later on into the fall. That's all I got.
All right, thank you, Steve. Now, the next item on the agenda is not something actually, obviously, that we can vote on tonight, but it's for your review and consideration, which is a boat ordinance. We do not have anything pertaining to boats in our ordinances right now. Imagine that, considering we live in the middle of farmland. But we actually have, unfortunately, on Columbia Street, we have a boat that's not in use, has not been in use since it looks like the days when Gilligan's Island was still airing new episodes. And it's deplorable, unfortunately. And the neighbors around it shouldn't have to contend with it. Also is becoming just a center for nuisance or attraction of nuisance, because it's just sitting there pretty much, abandoned. Now, granted, it's not the property owner's boat, it's a relative's. However, we are charged with protecting our neighbors in our neighborhoods and looking out for their best interests. And unfortunately, again, this is one of those situations where the situation on this property is detracting from the neighbor's property values. And in other words, again, I've said this before, and I don't think I can say it enough, and it's the truth. They're actually stealing now. They're stealing money from their neighbors. Because when you pull down a property, an adjoining neighbors, when you pull down their property value, you're taking money out of their pocket if they were to go for an equity loan or if they were trying to sell their property. You are actually stealing from them. I can't say it enough. When you have an obligation to your neighbors It's not just something that God has asked us to do, which really should stop right there. That should be enough. In loving thy neighbor and doing what's best for the person next to you. That should be enough. But unfortunately, our society has proved that's not enough, unfortunately. So if we need to come out from a dollars and cents standpoint, we will do that. And state the fact that when you're not taking care of your property to the best of your ability, you are affecting your neighbors. And we are a community. And since we're a community, we have an obligation to one another. So that's why this is in here for your review. Is there anything, and what we're trying to do is fine tune or craft the final version of this so we can submit this before you for approval on subsequent council meetings. Is there anything in here that grabs your attention that should be omitted or tweaked or changed, or anything that's not in here that you feel should be considered?
Yeah, Jan wanted to stress that this is not council for
Correct.
ordinance format.
Correct.
It's just
Yeah, so this
A
is not
framework.
submitted for your vote tonight. This is, again,
I would
just trying to
also
glean input. Yes, Chief.
suggest that it go as an addendum to the inoperable vehicle statute that we already have, instead of creating a whole brand
Correct.
new ordinance.
Right.
Just
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
that one is-
Yes. That's very logical.
So this is an example
Specific
from
to-
some other town, I'm sorry.
I think we both spoke at the same exact time.
Yeah. Well, yeah, this actually is taken from another.
Yeah, I borrowed it from another one. I kind of pulled some stuff out of it that I knew didn't pertain to Union City, and I knew there was probably still some stuff left in there that pertained to the other cities, and that's why I give it to you guys for review and suggestion on any changes that you want to make in there. Again, and this isn't the first boat case we've had. I don't know if you've seen them. I think it was behind the new coffee shop. For the longest time, there was boats sitting
Yeah.
back there, and we had no course of action to get rid of them or force him to get rid of them because we didn't have an ordinance, and it was just finally I think he got rid of them.
Yeah.
But it was just old boat storage boats they never even used. But it is something that could become an issue even bigger.
So we're talking about, we have a vehicle ordinance, we're talking about a boat ordinance that would be an addendum to that. Is there any other sort of vehicle or ATV, UTV, anything like that that
The
we may need to think of to include here?
The
at the
only
same time?
suggestion that I would make is that trailers in general,
Yeah, okay.
and more specifically just an empty trailer like you would haul a car on, or not necessarily have any sides to it, just the trailer itself, the frame with the wheels. Yeah, sometimes those are junk, but I don't know how you would describe that or put that in your ordinance.
The one thing that I think is a consideration there is sometimes those trailers will be loaded full of debris
Correct.
and then just left.
Yeah.
And they'll sit there and it becomes,
Scrap.
granted, it
Scrap
becomes
metal.
subjective to a certain extent on your part, but to
Well,
make a decision.
all
but-
ordinances are, like the mayor said, every ordinance in the city of Union City, the big word to remember is nuisance.
Mhm.
And, how does that apply? Well, it's all civil. So, we'll try to find an ordinance that fits the trailer and the city of Union City. But like I said, if there's something that's got a flat tire in the yard and it becomes a nuisance with grass growing up and it just looks like junk, we can address it as a nuisance. But to find something more specific is what we'd be looking for on the trailer end. And that's where we went with the boat also, because we weren't able to get that specific until now. So it's just another added thing to our inoperable vehicle statutes.
Well, if there's no further questions, we'll move on to the next item. But if you think of anything between now and over the next 2 weeks, certainly raise it to our attention. So, because what our goal will be is to have something in voting format for you in the next meeting. Backstay loss. Is that out of the fryer and into the frying pan? The insert in your council As you see here, Mr. Anderson asked for payment in full of the sidewalk cost, the remaining portion to be paid. However, that was contingent upon previous council decision to address some issues that were in dire need of being addressed. And I know we have at least one member in the audience right now who can confirm that that's not been the case. I suspect, I don't know if you guys are here regarding the backstay, but okay. So, since it's pertinent to this discussion, usually we hold comments from the general audience until the end. But if you don't mind, I'm going to go ahead, and since it's again pertinent to this issue at hand, I'm going to let you stand, speak, state your name and your.
My name is Prince Neither. We live at 226 North Plum, and we have the fire station there. It was the old fire station. And they put in, of course, he's talking about the sidewalk in behind there. And actually, when you go out and measure it, they put it exactly on the property line, which was not really a problem for me. I still don't have a problem with that. But they put the fence on our side, running down. And I have pictures of all of it. But even at that, still that's not my big problem with it. Problem is it's a nuisance. And we have, the problem we have here is I believe it's a violation of our county health codes because they've left the door standing open. They don't have the dumpsters back in where they belong. People are coming up to dump their stuff there during the night, and we got people going through them. Well, they're going through these dumpsters, they're dumping stuff on the ground. It's all blowing into my yard, and I'm picking it up every day. And I don't think we should have to do that. On hot days over there, they have a lot of dirty diapers, rotting garbage and that, and boy, do we get the smell strong from it. And if they had the lids closed on these dumpsters, that would help. But the lids are wide open. As I said, they're clear out to street level. And if they had brought and put the system into where the fence had been running lengthwise with their property, widened it, they could have put the dumpsters in, the trucks would have had room to swing in from that end and go directly in. As it is, their trucks are trying to come in across that alley portion, and they can't turn into it. There's no room for it. So they put the gates open, leave them open, and they come in and drive in from the side, and then hit it from an angle to get the garbage out. So that makes it difficult for them. It's very difficult getting out of there. But we contend with people coming in here as well, and we had signs up. We put signs up, no trespassing, put poles up. They come in and rip the signs out. Took them. And we have people coming in parking in our back area back there, which was originally the basketball court. They'll come in and just park there, go over to the place next door. I don't call the police department. These gentlemen have enough to do. They need to be able to get to if somebody is an emergency. It's more something more aggressive and more necessary than me over here with people parking on my lot. So I don't bother them. I go out and talk to them. Most people are very congenial. Say, sorry, we didn't know, and they'll move for the most part. So we've done pretty well with that considering. But I get upset when I have people drive through my yard. They'll go in there, turn around, they'll go clear up on the grass. And we're trying to get that area to look good. It's been kind of difficult. I did have a question, though, about on Oak Street, where they took the trees out by the church there and all the way around. Are they going to do anything with that area?
Yeah, the sidewalks are actually getting replaced there. The trees will come, the stumps will come out completely. We don't have a time frame on that yet, do we? Because we haven't received a bid.
It'll be fall.
It'll be fall. Yeah, this fall is when you'll see that occur.
It's great. We got pictures of the area, and if the council would like to look at them. Plus a statement here, and I think it's a violation of health code to have that open where people are coming into it and dumping the garbage out, going through it. I know it is in California. I worked with police departments out there, and I worked with the court system for years, 30 years, and I know there's definitely a violation of the code there, but I don't know about our codes here in Indiana. So I put down here, complaint of fault is violation of county health codes, encroaching on the house, property of firehouse, pipes, parcel, so and so on, creating public nuisance, and on hot days, smell from that is unbearable, and when there's blowing loose garbage, I said, across our yard. Now, it's not just me, it's my neighbor over here, Daryl. He complains over and talks to me and complains about it. I think he come in, and but it's our two places to get it the most, because we're both right adjacent to it. So I think that's about all I have, and I'll turn this over to the mayor and
Thank you very
let
much.
go from there.
Gladly take that.
I have an
Thank you, sir.
update.
Thank you so much.
Sorry if I sound like I kind of yell a little bit. I'm a little short on breath, got COPD.
Oh, so
So-
sorry. No, I appreciate this.
Okay, so quick update. Tim and I talked after the last council meeting. We decided to take a little bit of a right-angled approach, because we were getting nowhere with Mr. Anderson and the Anderson group. Reached out to Rumpke. They do not own or hold the city contract, so they would be a third-party vendor. We do have it, a requirement in local ordinance that requires the trash pickup people to close the gates when they are done. But Rumpke is not our contractor for the city. Mr. Anderson is aware of that. My last face-to-face conversation with him, he assured me that he would be changing his contractor, but that obviously has not been done yet. So I have spoke with Rumpke. I spoke with our sales associate, and I informed him that it was not at all acceptable. I did not appreciate his drivers managing the corral the way that they have been, and that we were probably going to start citing them. And I don't know if that conversation sparked a nerve, but tomorrow I believe they are placing smaller dumpsters into the corral. They will once again, because they have actually physically fixed and repaired the gate system on more than one occasion since they've been the garbage contractor. So they're going to fix that one more time so that it works. They'll be putting smaller dumpsters in there, which I think is bad, but according to them, they have talked to Mr. Anderson on multiple occasions. He has been non-compliant with them. He's not responded to them. They have asked for a different type of containment system because it's not workable with the angle that the trucks have to get in and out to actually push the dumpsters back to the back wall of the fence. And it's just not a workable system. So their only workaround is to use smaller containers, which we all know, and if you've been paying attention, that's going to mean that they're going to fill up faster. It's going to be possibly more problematic, but Dusty Yanks, the representative from Rumpke, has assured me that after tomorrow, once they get those dumpsters switched out, the gates will be closed. So hopefully that takes care of some of it. For clarification, a fence is perfectly permissible by county ordinance to be built on a property line.
This is over.
Well, I'm not going to get into that conversation, but a fence is permitted to be built on a property line. So you would need to take that up with Randolph County Area Planning if you're going to question that. So, and I'm sure Mr. Abel would be happy to come out and take a look at your concern. But from other incidences that we've had to navigate, a fence can be built directly on the property line. So obviously that, if it's over, that's obviously a problem, but it is allowed to be built on the property line. So we should see something positive tomorrow from Rumpke, but I think it's potentially going to be just as problematic if they don't empty the dumpsters more often, because they're going to be full just as often.
And then another issue was the water, the drainage issue.
And none of that has been addressed. None of the conversation that Mr. Anderson and I had face to face, nothing has changed. They've not planted grass, they've not reworked the area, they've not cleaned up the alleyway, they've not placed any large riprap, they've done nothing. The riprap will not prevent the water from exiting the property. All it's going to do is diffuse the water from leaving the property, so it's not going to be as aggressive leaving the building. So it's going to slow it down. And again, you know, I'm not laying blame or making excuses, but Mr. Anderson's position on that is that area planning approved the plans. So, you know, in my mind, it's something that has to be worked out between the county and the Anderson group, but at the same time, we have the angry neighbors. And so, you know, I feel compelled to do something, but until we get it underground, I don't know how it's going to effectively be managed.
Yeah, you got one other problem.
I know what that
The
is.
rebar coming up out of the concrete that has not been fixed.
Well, that's not a big problem because Brad could cut those off in about 30 seconds, but I'm not ready to go
That
onto
is a big
personal
problem if
property.
somebody falls on and it's their head that the 3 inches of
I
rebar
don't-
goes into.
I don't disagree, but
Uh,
we could remedy that in about 30 seconds, but
Yeah,
I just
I
haven't
agree.
done it yet.
We shouldn't have to.
Right, yeah, it's not our property.
It's not our problem, but,
What,
you know, I've been griping about this, Chad, as you know, for a month or more, because the people came and complained, so I went and looked. I've been looking every 3 or 4 days to see if they've done it, and they haven't done a damn thing. And enough is enough. I really think we need to cite them, or we need to do it and then send them a bill.
well, and again, we still have, I can't remember what the dollar figure is that we're holding out still, but we still have a
32,000.
32,000,
Roughly 32,000.
roughly 32,000 that he's looking for us to pay for the remaining portion of sidewalks. And am I safe in saying that we are not at that juncture in paying a single dollar yet because he's not satisfied what our requests have been? So, yeah, not even close, unfortunately.
Especially when the only real progress on the trash problem has been handled by us.
Yeah, sadly. Yeah, no kidding. So I will go ahead with council's consensus. I will send a follow-up message to email to Mr. Anderson and let him know what the status update, and that is status is basically remaining status quo because there's not been any changes as requested. Therefore, we also cannot make any changes with what we've spent.
There's some new erosion and damage in that alley, down the alley from the amount of water.
Yeah, I got a video sent to me by a concerned citizen after the last rain, and yeah.
And just so the public knows, I drive through there at least a half a dozen times a week just to see if anything's changing, what's changing. We see exactly what you, the neighbors, are seeing.
Mm-hmm.
We're just as frustrated. We're pushing every button that we can possibly push, except just doing it ourselves and fixing it. And that's problematic for that guy when we violate people's rights. It's their property and they have the right to care for it the way they want. All we can do is try to encourage change. So.
Well, and the dumps, the trash issue then though is a citation issue after a while, is it not?
Yeah, I don't believe there's any time frame or limit on it as long as the police department receives the complaint, which obviously now have,
Right.
and that may be a way to get him into the court.
I mean,
Is
to
he-
Steve's
is
point
this-
earlier, I mean, we're trying to toe that fragile line between trying to be civil and work together collaboratively, because granted, this is a business owner, when it comes down to it, that has helped fund a multi-million-dollar project and created places for people to live. But at the same time, there's a level of expectations to, like we said, talked earlier, to adjoining property owners. There's a level of responsibility there.
And I'm not sure.
It's a nuisance.
I'm
Now
not
it's a
sure
nuisance.
that the citation goes to the Anderson Group. Because they provided the dumpster, they provided the containment system, and it's Rumpke who's violating
True,
and refusing to use it.
true.
And that
So
was
how
the
does
problem.
that work though, in terms of what would stand up?
But
Is that something we need to research?
If I'm gonna issue a violation, it's gonna be to the manager of the property.
But if Rumpke follows through and does, you know, and follows through with their side of what's required in the ordinance, and then there's still a problem, then it would,
That's not, I don't care about that.
yeah. I mean,
I don't
I'm just
care
saying,
what
if the gate, if Rumpke comes
Because
in.
it still comes back to the
gates are
property owner.
shut,
I don't care what Rumpke's doing,
Right.
because that's down the line for me. I only care what the property owner or management is doing, and that's who we would cite. Because they're the one with the most control over the situation.
But that being said, if Rumpke comes in and they put dumpsters in and the gates are shut and they're doing what they're doing and there's still a problem because they're being left open, there's trash being spewed around, then that falls back on the property. Like I say, no matter what.
Yeah,
Because Rumpke can't control that.
Right.
Yeah, I don't care about, no, I'm not saying I don't care about Rumpke.
Yeah.
but
Yeah, I
it's-
know, I'm following what you.
That's who the property owner is hired to
Yeah.
abate that issue, and they're not abating the issue.
Yeah.
So it comes back to the property owner.
Okay. Well, again, to wrap this up, I will send a letter or an email to them, and I will copy council as I have previously. Then the last thing is the county sign ordinance. Did you have this put on there, or did?
Absolutely. I do.
Okay. Then I will turn it over to you.
We need clarification on how the county or how the city wants to move with this. Area planning is reaching out to us, wanting our input. They want us to be part of this. This is obviously the council's decision. I would be 100% opposed to us moving back to the county. They are still taking technology out of this conversation. They have increased the height of a sign, which would make our signs in our community legal for the height requirement, but they still cannot be electronic or digital. They still can only have one per property. We have people with signs in their yards that don't comply with the county sign ordinance. That I find completely appropriate for a rural farming community. I think they've made it better from the first time that we've addressed this, but from a business economic development position, knowing that we've got plans to put a new high definition LED digital sign on Vision Corner, we can't do that. If we agree to this, and that's just wrong in my mind. When things are done appropriately, they're tasteful, they're effective. I think businesses, I think communities should be allowed to manage those things together. Now, we can manage all of the things that area planning manages here locally. It's going to be, a little bit troublesome to get started, but it can be done. We did it once before. We consciously gave it to the county. I don't think the county's doing us any justice with some of the things we've had to navigate in the last 24 months of all of our fast and furious development that we've done. I think they've been a little bit of a stick in the mud with some of the processes we needed to navigate. Can it get better? Absolutely. But I think the sign ordinance, I think you guys voting it down sent a message. I think they aggressively changed some things, but being 100% opposed to modern digital technology, I think is the wrong message to send to a community that's trying to rebrand ourselves and redevelop and grow. We're sending the wrong message. So you guys have to decide, and they want to know. So
I thought we were 100% clear in our position, so.
we are 100%. We rejected it and sent it back to them, but we've never motioned or done the things that we need to do to start managing our own area planning. So that's what we need to do if that's the direction you guys want to go.
Well, I thought what we voted on was not being included in the sign ordinance. But
Well,
you're talking about the whole area.
That is not what the motion was on the floor. That's what the general consensus was, but the motion, and I don't have it in front of me, but the way Jan read the motion that was on the floor, she went back and listened to it, it was pulling out of Randolph County area planning altogether. Now, I don't care what we do, I don't care how we do it, They need to know what we're doing, and we need to be clear and concise with how we're going to move forward.
Boils down to signage, doesn't it, right now? Or not?
Well, I think that's the predominant issue, but I think the whole area planning issue is there too. I guess the idealistic side of me says, you know, pull out, take over ourselves, everything. The only thing that the practical side says, okay, you need to have an assessment, you know, that needs to be an informed decision about what the cost implications and the logistic implications are. So, do we need to consider what that's going to take? What's the practicality of a plan?
I think that would be
To
very
present,
beneficial
so
for
we
us to
make that
identify
decision.
what the budget's going to be for
Yeah.
managing our area planning.
I still
I mean-
I still think we have the option. They still haven't given any proof that there's any reason we'd have the option that we can't opt out of the sign side of the ordinance and participate in the rest of area planning. I don't think there's any valid argument to that. I
You know,
really don't think there's a
technically
valid-
what Family Dollar and Dollar Tree has done for their grand opening violates the county sign ordinance.
Right.
And there is nothing in my mind that is objectionable to that when you're celebrating the fact that we have a new business opening up in our community. I don't find that objectionable, and it's for a finite period of time. They're
You're
not
speaking of the temporary banners.
talking the temporary banners, I'm talking the grand opening banner that's on the side of the building.
Right.
Technically, the signage on the building on the two corners violates the sign ordinance.
Right.
Technically, the two signs that are freestanding violates the sign ordinance.
Well, since
I will check with Ryan to see if we do have legal grounds to just opt out of the signage and stick with area plan, just so we know that. And then I think it would be prudent to vet out what the cost would be and what the process would look like or the structure would look like and its cost benefit ratio. Because I mean, obviously there's gonna be some benefits to it. Having our own say, more fluid, quicker decisions, so forth, more control, but there's gonna be an increased cost with that too. So
what
we gotta
resources-
balance that.
What resources we have and what resources we need.
Yes, yes.
But,
Yeah, because I guarantee we already have some things in-house that we can
Oh,
manage.
absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
but then there's probably some things we don't have. So, $1 million question in my mind as I'm sitting here live thinking this out loud is what would be the best entity to help us vet that out, to help us make that determination? And I don't know as I sit here at this moment.
The way I initially was mapping it out in my brain was to look at hiring an engineer, architect, some professional people, basically by the job or by contract based on, hey, we're going to be looking at 30 area planning concerns that need plan reviews and site visits and all those things every year, and what is that going to cost? I think a lot of it, the forming basically an area planning board to review simple things is more than adequate. But I think, you know, building homes and foundations and footers and plumbing and all that stuff requires more technical expertise, and you know, that I think is where we're going to get into the expense of the process.
Mm.
Probably not the first city to ever want to do this. Imagine there's another city to borrow some stuff from.
True.
Do a little research.
And effectively, we can just take Randolph County's area planning ordinances and make them our own. I mean, it can be that simple for the first part of the process. we have local people that have already expressed interest and willingness to help us do this, and they think we'll be more efficient moving in that pattern. But, you know, the council has to decide that that's what they want to do.
Thoughts, questions, comments?
I say go for it. We need to do it. Do we need to have a vote tonight on that, or
Just consensus, but.
Well, I think my opinion, for what it's worth, I would urge to pursue what the cost structure would be to do this. That's what boils down to. Yeah, assessment of what this entails, so we know exactly what we're looking, or at least, I say exactly, there's, you know, we have a very strong idea of what we're looking at.
So we have an outline of what
Yeah,
we're making.
so that way we can, from an educated standpoint, say, yes, this makes sense, or you know what? We need to reapproach this because this isn't something we want to do on our own, but yet we definitely know as we sit here that we've not been happy with the signage, even though they have made concessions and are heading in the right direction. We still don't feel like we're at a point where it behooves us as a community. Yes.
Just thinking, what is process, what is some detail, are we thinking about like having some kind of an urban planner type individual joining the city administration? I mean, figuring out what our signage ordinance could be, and then having some kind of process for like, I don't know, permit to put up signs or anything like that? Is that what, is that what we're talking about?
The process, absolutely. We would not be bringing on new head count to the administration, at least not under the scenario you drew up, in which it would be more like by a contract basis as needed, like a PRN.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's cost effective. I think that no more site visits and plan reviews than what we actually do, given we hope we're doing a lot more moving forward in the future. But I don't think we're going to get in over our heads doing it piecemeal at the moment.
Somewhat, we've got to leave one person. I should say that we have a lot of people watching this. We have one person for sure watching. Dave Keyser, consultants, texting me. He's followed this conversation very closely. So yeah, certainly we can form our own plan commission, and he could provide some assistance with the process. So
I already know that from Ryan. Ryan and I have vetted this out already.
Okay.
It's very doable. Ryan cautioned me on it because we're going to incur expenses, but you know, and I wouldn't pull the trigger or suggest we pull the trigger right now. I think we have to build it into a budget. I think we have to step it out and map it out when we're going to start.
Right.
And you know, put all of our ducks in a row in order to pull the trigger.
And I'd like to know more about what those expenses would be.
Right. Right.
What they'd say.
Yeah, I agree, because
I mean, just the simple things that we had to jump over, just for economic development in our community, for, you know, a $350,000 renovation to a property was just unbelievable, and it shouldn't have to be that bad. It shouldn't have to be that complicated.
Okay, well, we'll make it a goal of our next meeting to have some concrete material for you to review in our next meeting. Don't expect everything that we need, but yeah, it's gonna be a process. But we will definitely start this and try to get some clarity.
We do need to tell the county what we're doing with the sign ordinance.
So, as in terms of yay or nay?
In or out.
So
So that's the possibility of just not falling under the authority of the sign ordinance. We can just opt out of that.
The way I understand Jan's question to me last week, yes, we could just pull out of the sign ordinance. Her concern was that the motion that was actually voted on was pulling out of the whole area planning commission.
So do we need a tweak to that, do we need a change to that motion?
We need to rescind that vote and then
And clarify.
clarify.
I don't know, others, was that your understanding of what we were voting on?
Well, I would say my understanding, we were voting to rescind or to bow out of the sign section.
That's
of the
what I
ordinance,
thought.
but
too.
I was trying to remember, did,
The conversation went a little sideways.
Yeah.
That's why I abstained.
And Nathan, I think, made the motion,
say,
and I think it was a little bit more pointed towards pulling out of the whole area planning.
okay.
And if it wasn't that, then, and
Then this is,
this is just an
Doesn't matter
explanation
what
for
we
me, but if it wasn't that, I went directly to the city attorney the next day and had a conversation about what we have to do to pull out of area planning. So,
well,
and Jan felt the same way, that that's what was voted on and passed.
Let's rescind it.
so we can rescind, so what if we rescind the, what we passed for clarification to then resubmit as just removing ourselves from the sign ordinance.
I would agree with that.
Is that what
Sounds good.
Is that in the form of a
our
motion?
real intention was?
Yeah.
And we can explore.
Well,
the
do I need to do that in
possibility of removing
two,
ourselves from
do we need to
area
do that in two?
Probably with her.
Okay, so let's start out with rescinding our action on removing Union City, Indiana from Randolph County area planning.
Can we have first, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Jan, or Cindy?
Sorry, I missed
Man,
the first
have
and
it.
the second one there.
First was Tim, second was Bob.
Okay, Bob, Brandon Langley, Brandon Elmore,
Spreading.
Bob Leahy,
Yes.
Jason Brewer,
Yes.
Tim Heiss.
Yes.
Tito Freres.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, now I move that we remove ourselves, remove Union City, Indiana from the authority of the sign section of the ordinance of the Randolph County Area Planning Code. Just sign section only.
We have a first. Do we have a second?
I'll second
I
again.
hope that's clear enough.
Cindy, roll call vote, please.
Brandon Elmore,
Yes.
Bob Leahy,
Yes.
Jason Brewer,
Yes.
Tim Heiss.
Yes.
Tito Freres.
Yes.
Okay, and then just one more question. Do you want me to build this out and put it together as a presentation? Because I think you have to look at permit fees and all that stuff for like what we're going to do or offer for signs. I'm not a big proponent of making somebody pay $10 to put a sign up, but I think there needs to be a process. So I think we have to start working on building out what that's going to look like, up into and even including the whole area planning process. You want us to start working on that?
I think is it.
Got it.
We have a consensus of that, yeah, I think.
For the signs.
Well, you
Well,
want signs and,
Well,
Well, I
I think signs
think
and-
theoretically that process could start with the signs,
Right.
start to finish, but I think it literally becomes almost the same process for a building permit or a shed permit or a fence permit or anything. I think what we can create can be duplicated for everything, including area planning at some point.
yeah.
All right. Visitors wishing to address the board, please stand, state your name, address, and name of your business.
I'm Tom Clevenger. I'm 406 East Water Street, Union City, Ohio. And I asked a couple of you fellows, and I think I asked the mayor, I said, if I've crossed the border illegally, tell me. He said I could speak, so I commend you on the efforts you've made to improve our town and community. You've done a great job. And this morning, my dog took me for a walk, and we ended up in the city building, and I was telling the girls some of my thoughts, and they said, you need to tell the council. And I said, well, you can tell them. No, they said the ears will be here tonight. Now, I don't know who the ears are, but she said the ears will be here to listen. And so I would like to share some thoughts. It's been said that we might be in a bit of a crisis with high prices and high gas and everything. And one of our government officials said one time, don't let a good crisis go to waste. And they have used it to their advantage in many ways, and maybe we could too here. I was thinking, as I mentioned to them, one thing I go to Greenville for is to use a kiosk. You're saying, what's that? I did too not long ago, but I got one of these phones that you can plug into a machine and get pictures. And that's what a kiosk is. And I used to come to Walgreens and get that accomplished, and then Barbara would always tell me, make sure it's noon, and then go get me something from Bowser's or McDonald's or somewhere for lunch. And, well, Walgreens is gone, so I have to go to Greenville now. So Greenville gets that money, and they get my lunch money. And if I'm in a certain store, I spend some money, and Union City has lost that money. And I thought, well, that's just one thing. Is it possible we could get a kiosk machine so people could get their pictures developed? There's probably other things that people would like to have in town. Since it costs you $6 or better to drive out of town, we can pay a little more to get it here. And I wondered if it would be wise to somehow ask people or get information on what they would like to, why do you go out of town? What are you going out of town to buy? And what could you buy it here? And, you know, if we gain 60, 70 people or 70 families that kept their money in town and helped our merchants, that would be great. And I appreciate the way a lot of the merchants are working together now. I believe the sweet, or I call it the sweet shop, it's been that all these years, but the coffee shop you call it. And Livingston's are sharing a dining room, and a lot of them are working together. There's businesses outside of town. I mentioned Oliver's, and the mayor said they're working with them maybe, but maybe the merchants could all work together in the 40s. You don't even remember that, no. But as I grew up in the 40s, we'd come to town and we'd go to one of the merchants and say we need this or that, and they could provide most of it, and they'd say, wait a minute, we'll call so-and-so. Well, he'd have it. We'll go down there, he'll share it with you. And of course, all the money stayed in Union City. The two merchants were happy, and so I'd like to see some of that happen again, if it's possible. I don't know what plan you might want to make to get the people to share, like you could put a questionnaire in a paper or something to get people to share what they could buy in Union City that they're not presently buying. One person did mention to me a while back, I don't know what that would involve. They said, I wish they had a senior citizen center or something for us people to go up and, you know, spend some time together. We miss just seeing each other. So that's a thought maybe for the long distance planning, is some kind of a senior citizen place where as I get older I can go. I'm only 80, so it doesn't affect me yet, but a lot of people it does. So that's just what I wanted to share tonight with you, that let's see if we can keep people buying here. and staying here, loving our town. I don't know about entertainment. People go out of town for entertainment, I guess. I don't know what entertainment we might provide. I know you're providing concerts and different things to help people, and that's going in the right direction. But, you know, maybe you can think it over and get together. We used to have called a heat group out at Sheller Globe. And what it was is where we went in and all got together and sat around for a little while each week trying to figure ways to improve our job, improve our factory, and try to keep things going. And we had a lot of success. So maybe you need shall we call it a think tank, just to kind of come up with ideas that might be workable and doable to make Union City a better community even, and as people come in, they're gonna appreciate it more. We'll have all they need.
Well, thank
That's
you so
what I
much,
got.
Tom. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. All right, any other visitors wishing to address? If not, our day of next city council meeting will be Monday, June 27th at 6, right here. And the day of the Board of Public Works meeting will be Monday, also June 27th at 1 p.m. I would hereby entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
We have a first, second.
Second?
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.